thanks everyone for your attention and being here. We appreciate the opportunity to talk to you a bit about Mitsubishi Imaging, who we are, where we're going. People may not know us from the book printing side in particular, but we have been in the graphic arts industry for 30 years, 35 years, selling printing plates into that application. So what we're going to do today is just talk to you a little bit about our expertise, where we've been in the past year with this technology. There's many familiar faces to us as well as new faces. And, you know, we can make this an open forum as well. I'm Kathy Cortolano. I'm the VP of Sales and Technical Services for Mitsubishi Imaging. Jill Accord is our VP of Marketing and Operations and IT. David Bell is our Director of Digital Paper Sales. He's based out of California. We're based out of New York. And Mr. Ishida is our representative from the mill. So he's here to gain a lot of knowledge and hopefully react quickly to a lot of the changes in the industry. So basically what we're going to talk about and what we believe the value that Mitsubishi brings to this new technology and applications is the importance of inkjet coating on papers. So I'll give you a little bit of a brief background as to who we are, where we're going, and then we'll go from there. So we're Mitsubishi Imaging. We'll talk a little bit about commercial inkjet printing. I think the past presentations that you've seen, both this morning as well as last night, have done a good job about talking about the technology in particular. We have a lot of experience now with all of the press OEMs, so we can share with you some of that knowledge as well. But we're going to talk about the reality of some of that situation as well. We'll talk about the paper challenge and then our solutions with regards to which papers for which applications. So this is the most complicated slide of all, who Mitsubishi is. We are, in the United States, we are Mitsubishi Imaging, and we are a joint venture between two Mitsubishi companies in Japan. One of them is Mitsubishi Paper Mills, which is the manufacturer of the paper, as well as inkjet paper that we sell, as well as our silver halide color paper and our silver halide printing plates. We sell mostly paper and polyester printing plates into the small to mid-sized commercial print market. So that's one of the owners of this company. The other owner of the company is Mitsubishi Corporation, which is the huge trading company and one of the huge Japanese trading companies, maybe upwards of the top 10 trading companies in the world. So both of those companies own us, and we are the distributor of all of the products from Mitsubishi Paper Mills into the North and South American market. So we mostly sell through distribution, whether it's a paper merchant channel or a graphic arts dealer channel or a photo paper channel as well. But, you know, there's some complications to that as well as we move along. So then to complicate things even further, we have mills in Japan, basically in 5 locations. We also have 2 mills in Germany. And I'm going to go into detail on this because there's some history of us selling papers into the production inkjet press environment coming from the German mills that sort of gives us a reputation of being a very, very, very high-priced paper that now, with paper coming out of the Japanese mills, is coming out of a lower cost, higher volume potential mill, and there's a lot of efficiencies there. So in Japan, there's a number of mills, mostly in Kyoto. Our headquarters is in Tokyo, both from Mitsubishi Paper Mills and Mitsubishi Corporation. But the big mill is the Hachinohe mill, which is where all the production inkjet paper is being made. So these are the papers that are being currently there, and the capacity is 1.1 tons, million tons per year. In the German mill, they basically have 3 core products. It's thermal paper, carbonless paper, and then the third would be the inkjet coated papers. So these manifest themselves into wide format papers as well as papers for the high-speed production inkjet presses, and we have some samples of that here. Mitsubishi Paper Mills has been in the paper industry for over 100 years. This Hachinohe mill is the second largest in Japan, and 75% of MPM's business is coated offset paper. We don't import it here, we never have, just based on the competition that we would have from domestic US mills. So another part of MPM's business is inkjet papers. We are probably one of the largest inkjet manufacturer in the world. You wouldn't know that because so much of that product is not under Mitsubishi's name. We sell private label to a number of retail outlets and a number of large prestigious printer manufacturers, whether they're desktop printers or wide format printers. So much of that product could be branded differently, but a lot of it is Mitsubishi paper. So we are the leading manufacturer of that technology in paper, and as well we are probably the leading patent holder of all that inkjet technology. So now why is that important to you guys? Most of that paper is resin coated paper and it's a microporous coating. Okay? So what's happening now is this is the promise of inkjet presses, right? There's all sorts of new business models for adopters of this technology. So it's print on demand, you have the ability to print backlist quickly, versioning, which I spelled incorrectly, just-in-time inventories. There's variable imaging, workflow process and savings, et cetera, et cetera. So we've done an awful lot of testing in this past year. Since we actually released the papers in the Drupa time frame, and we were releasing a sword gloss, what we called a gloss, into the screen press application. And it was made specifically for the screen press and that application. And at the time, the pricing was so cost prohibitive for the market that we were not strongly advocating it because of just the barrier of entry for the cost of the paper. But since then, there's a lot more presses that have gone into the market. There's a lot more improvements to the price of the paper, and we are constantly battling the perception of price, right? Or the cost for the paper in the marketplace. So, and the other thing that we've learned is going into each of these applications, whether it's a difference from a customer, whether it's a difference from a press, whether it's a difference of a version of a press. So HP has 3 or 4 or 5 different models of presses out there. We could have different results with different papers in each application. So it's we've been battling sort of the changes in the market or the reaction of our paper to each individual press environment. So it's been a bit of a challenge, and I see there's a lot of pain points that we've all had together, but we are making strides. But that's the big difference, is that there's a huge education process that's involved here. And it's not just us educating asset owners, as you guys are, but it's also educating your customers, it's educating you guys, it's educating the print operators, your press people, your press operators, and that's been the biggest challenge that we have had this year. And then again, adjusting the paper to be able to react to each of the different press environments. So we're just going to talk a little bit about inkjet paper applications. and where they fit and how we fit into each of the environments. And again, it varies press by press, and even within a press line, it could vary as well. So there's basic types of papers. There's uncoated paper. We heard about that this morning from Jim Hamilton. We have treated papers, basically, which is a chemical treatment. Then we have a lightweight coated paper, and then there's a full inkjet coated paper. Now, part of the education process we've had during the course of this past year and a half has been the name it, people will say an uncoated sheet. Now, we have matte coated papers, and you'll see them in your packets that we sent out. The matte coated papers are perceived as being uncoated to you guys. In reality, we have a full inkjet coating on those grades. So, we've been trying to catch up with the nomenclature in the marketplace, as well as educating everybody else as well. And that's sort of the difference that we have from our competition. Everything that we're selling has an inkjet coating on it. We have one paper that's treated, a new paper that's treated mostly for the transaction space. So we have everything else is either a lightweight coated or a fully coated sheet. And these are the basic grades that we have that correspond to the types of coatings. So our fully coated sheets are what we call sword gloss, and they come in a IJS sword, and it comes in a gloss, satin, and matte finish. Then we have the DL series from our German mill, which is a fully coated inkjet sheet that works in all press environments, but it has a matte coating. And then we have IJ form, which is all a matte finish, but it's a fully coated sheet. And then we have value IJ for the transactional market.
And I just want to point out, in the presentation earlier, the keynote speak, he kept referring to papers as either uncoated or treated, inkjet treated sheets. And inside that treated sheet, there's really treated is just a chemically treated. What he wasn't talking about, and he was including in that, was the inkjet coated sheets. So there's really three classes in how he used the word treated, and we don't define it that way. Treated is the least amount of inkjet receiving layer on it. He didn't really refer to an inkjet coated sheet, which is what you use in books, of course. So you don't use, most book printers, I don't know of any book printer using a chemically treated sheet.
And this is just a visual description or visual depiction of the types of papers. So uncoated has no, basically that's mostly what everyone's using, an offset. Then there's a chemically treated, chemical treatment typically, which is what our competition is using in this space. Then we have a lightweight coating, which is just what, for us, it's a lighter weight coating of a fully coated inkjet paper. So, and why this is important, and as you see, as you go up in quality, we are going to go up in price. So the benefits of using a fully coated inkjet paper is, the wider color gamut that we get. In many cases, there is an ink savings, because what happens is, again, we're taking a lot of the technology and know-how that we have from our traditional inkjet business, and we are pulling it over to this coating application, if you will. And what's happening is that our paper is typically the only paper out there that has an instant dry capability. And what it's doing is basically wicking the ink away from the surface of the paper, from the top of the sheet. So, and that manifests itself obviously into higher print speeds, and you're able to run at full capacity. And this is a good visual description of what happens with uncoated paper, with ink on uncoated paper, and then what happens with it on a coated sheet. Again, it gets absorbed into the surface of the paper itself. So this is just a visual depiction of the benefits of using an inkjet coated sheet from uncoated to fully coated. So the book market, basically we're talking about a sweet spot for digital papers or for digital application here, right? And that could be between 1 and under 10,000 basically. And the mid-length runs are where the growth is. And books in just 2 years have become the leading print application for high-speed inkjet. So our papers, we're basically targeting this market with our new grade, or our latest version of the grade, and it's called Premier IJ Book, and it's a 43 pound or 63 GSM weight paper. So the benefits of this paper for book printing is that it has instant dry. In many cases, we're seeing lower, drier temperatures. We're printing in most press applications at full speed, and that's been the first time that a lot of these asset owners have been able to run the press at full capacity. Again, the ink savings, we've measured this in some press applications with some of our grades, and basically what we're seeing is, in some cases, up to a 20% ink savings. We have a PPI rating of 838 on the book grade. Our latest grade of paper, which has not been tested, it has been tested in this room, and it has an increased opacity and it has a better white point than our competitor, as well as our previous version. And we have obviously an increased color gamut. It is NASTA certified, and because it's a 43 pound, we have about a 4% yield advantage.
And it has an increased PPI over our competition.
Mm-hmm. Next, okay, elephant in the room is 2 minutes, price and availability, right? So this is the largest segment of paper that uses a specialty inkjet coating. We are targeting this segment price-wise. We believe we have a better product, so there's ink savings, productivity savings, and you have some yield advantage here in using a 43 pound over 45 pound. So we are specifically targeting this market to come in at the same price or slightly better than our competition. Our goal is to gain volume so that we can fill the mill, so that we can lower the price of all of our papers across the board, mostly the gloss, satin, and matte on the sword side. Availability is we're bringing everything in. We are going mill direct in many cases. We are bringing product into converters where we're bringing in master rolls and cutting on demand. The issue is the width we need in the exact spot in the US. So we're working very hard to work with our merchant partners as well as our printer partners to understand what that is. This is our full product line. Again, we're targeting price point and availability for your specific application to be very price aggressive. We are very committed to this market. Again, we believe that there's a lot of advantages in using this paper. One thing I would like to reiterate is these applications are increasing daily and it's changing daily. What we learned today is very different than what we knew yesterday. It's going to be very different than what happens tomorrow. We are reacting very quickly to the market. We are changing the products, the configuration. We're listening to you guys. It's important that we have a relationship with you directly so that we can understand what we need to do to target the market, to be successful, to help you make money, as well as, increase our application. So, and again, we're just saying that moving forward, paper is a huge part of the future of inkjet papers and this application development. We work with all the OEMs. We'd like to work with each of you to understand what your needs are and what we need to do to gain your business. So I'm out of time. Any questions, comments? We have some samples here. We'll have them at our one-on-ones with you guys, but these were printed on the latest version of the 43, and this is the DL9084. These were all printed on Canon jet streams, Canon OSE jet streams. Any questions?